Celebrating 48 years.
95.5 PLJ, best variety of the 80s, 90s, and today. My name is Ray Taylor. Please have mercy on our program. My wife is home with a horrible cold. My traffic reporter is pregnant and suffering dyslexia. And my producer is going to be married in 3 weeks. I'm asking, please, for the Lord just to strike me down.
Oh, my gosh, that's pretty tough.
This is 95.5 PLJ.
And that is the great Race Taylor. Race, how are you, pal?
I'm doing all right, guys. Thank you very much. You're hitting me with all the feels. You're playing the promo again.
I know. Give us the emotion. Look, truth is, you're a magnificent talent.
Thank you.
And your ratings are great.
Thank you.
And the mornings really screwed you. So I just wonder, do you have any ill feeling? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding. But, are you angry? Are you sad? What is? I know you run the whole gamut of emotions.
Yeah.
But what is the one that really is most prevalent?
I think grateful.
Really?
For the chance
That's
to
pathetic.
have 20 years. I've talked once this announcement happened, I've had people reach out and say, "Listen, we are sad what's happening to the radio station, but just so you know, I've moved 13 times since you've been at PLJ."
That's true.
You know, it's been an incredible
Has
run.
Z100 called you to say they're upset?
No, not yet.
Actually, it's very healthy what you just said. You're grateful. That's the way to be.
Absolutely grateful and overwhelmed by the outpouring of emotion from the people who have listened to this radio station over the course of the time that I've been there since 1999 and beyond. People who have said, there's not been a day in my life where PLJ has not been the number one preset on my car, and I'm on my 8th car. Or something along those lines. You don't realize when you don't have this platform for interaction that involves this much talk or phone calls or things like that, how ingrained you are in people's lives. And all of a sudden, when everything broke on social, and you start to see some of the comments from people talking about the music you've introduced them to, or how you've helped bond them with their children, or everybody talks about how we helped lift this city after our darkest days. It's just overwhelming, the attachment that radio and specifically PLJ has not only with our listeners, but with the artists we've played over all this time.
Yeah. You know, there was a time my old partner said to me, because I'm in recovery, he said, of all the drugs you did, and I did a lot, he said the one drug that you'll never get over is the microphone.
Sure.
And I've been fired 5 times since then. 5 times. You're in one place for 20 years. And he was right. I mean, I would go a couple of days and I'd be tweeting like a madman because I had to get my opinions out there. Yeah. So when that day comes in a couple of weeks, you think you'll have that type of withdrawal?
I know I'll have it eventually. The crazy thing is I've been extremely blessed. I've been able to work in radio since like 1988 and not have to worry about where my next opportunity was. I believed in good work. I studied the art of the interview and the people who had gone before me from cities like Detroit to New York and the jocks that were on this radio station for so long, and I just wanted to be better. And I was so fortunate that what I thought was my work kept breeding more work. And it was always my belief that if you put in the time and you study and you don't just phone it in, that eventually it will pay off. And I never thought I was a market climber. I never thought, man, I've got to get to Dallas or I've got to get to New York City. Things just kind of...
It happened.
It just happened.
Yeah, you have a great attitude. It must be that you have a good, healthy, guaranteed contract that's going to pay you for a couple of years not to work. It's got to be something like that. But look, I see in your future... something like a Jim Kerr show, you know, taking over for a guy like that, guy with your personality and history. I mean, that's you're not going anywhere. You're going to be around for a long time.
Well, thank you very much. I have tremendous respect for all of the people who have been in our studio down the hall over the course of the years, and we're going to honor them before we go dark with 95.5 PLJ.
He just mentioned, Bernie mentioned Jim Kerr. Give us some more names.
Pat St. John.
Wow.
The great Tony Pigg, who's been the announcer on ABC in the morning between 9 and 10, no matter who's sitting in those chairs. Guys like Fast Jimmy. Scott is going to be back in some form or another, whether people are permitted to come to the studio or whether they phone in or they send us their memories or whatever. We're going to take a day set aside, and we're going to honor the alumni.
This is Race Taylor, maybe the greatest of all. And PLJ is closing their doors in a couple of weeks. This is so obligatory. I hate this question, but I'm still going to ask it. And that is, you've met all these unbelievable artists over the years, 30 years now doing this. Who was the coolest artist you ever met? And fame doesn't matter. They don't have to be Bruno Mars.
Right.
Who was the coolest artist you ever met, and who was the biggest asshole?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's not easy, I know.
No, it's not. And I think about this a lot because everybody has good days and bad days. And the people who have been our favorite artists over the course of time are the people who are the amazing singer-songwriters and the tremendous storytellers.
Right.
You bring in someone like John Mayer or Rob Thomas or Dave Matthews, aside from the fact that their acoustic performance is going to be off-the-record pristine, they have amazing stories, and they love what they do, and they can't wait to share that. Other times you get people who are in the midst of some sort of turmoil, and they're guarded.
You don't have
and
to
they're
make an excuse. Who is
right.
it? Who is it?
He wants you to name names.
I know he does, and I'll tell you that I have had...
You're not going to do it.
I have had Lenny Kravitz on my show a million times, and one of the last times Lenny was on, he was, at that time, dating Nicole Kidman, and he had just come from The View, and the beautiful thing about PLJ was people would do morning television, and then the late morning television, and before they did sound check for Dave or Conan or whoever was in the city, PLJ was a normal stop.
Right.
And he had just been raked over the coals by the ladies with Nicole question after Nicole question, and all he wanted to talk about was music, that when he came up, he was a little guarded. And we had a show with him that night, and it was, we're gonna be at the China Club. He's going to do 4 songs. You're going to have 40 minutes of conversation with Lenny. And Lenny, that day... I love him. He did not want to talk because he was afraid that it was going to be all tabloid fodder.
So it essentially screwed you because of what happened to him before.
I have no ill will. It was probably the most difficult, uncomfortable time. It was the longest string of one-word answers I have ever endured. But to this day, I get it, and I love the guy, and I have tremendous respect for his talent on screen.
Keith Urban hates him, by the way.
Yeah, he does hate him.
I'm sure maybe he does.
When was your wow moment? You've met everybody. You've met all the big names. But there had to be one time. Like for me, it was, and Bernie, the same thing, I think, when we sat with George Bush, 41, many years ago, when he was here for his son, 43, during the Republican convention. Who was the artist that walked in and you were like, wow?
Yeah. That is such a tough question, and I might have to say it was Billy Joel on a couple of different occasions.
Yeah. Wow.
Nice.
We talked to Billy Joel in person at Tower Records just after he released his Millennium Live at Madison Square Garden
Tower
album.
Records down in the Village?
Yeah.
So cool.
And then we had another conversation with Billy, which was amazing because he had announced that he was not going to write pop music anymore. And he had another piano player and an album that was all classically based piano. And they were at Lincoln Center, and through the magic of technology, we were here above Madison Square Garden, and we connected via ISDN or whatever the technology was. And he gave us a master class on all of the classical influence of his music through every song. And he'd play a little bit of something that was Schubert or Chopin or Shostakovich, and it would seamlessly blend into how that worked into Angry Young Man or something from Storefront. And I was just...
You don't realize...
I was blown away.
The genius that these guys have to do what they do, to be able to do what they do. I mean, who knows? Who knew he knew all that stuff?
Right.
Could perform all that stuff.
Same thing. John Mayer, after the microphones shut off one day, we said, how did you start learning how to play guitar? And he said, I learned everything I heard on the radio. And he went through a 7-minute medley of everything from Mr. Big and To Be With You to Patience to Guns N' Roses. It was just 7 minutes. I loved this song, and all of a sudden here's November Rain, and then here's something else from another hair band.
Amazing.
And it was tremendous to see
great, yeah.
the musical skill that these guys have.
Well, listen, nobody has more respect for you than Bernie and I. We think you're incredible.
Thank you, guys.
You will end up on your feet because you're just way too talented.
I appreciate
despite
that.
Pettingill's best efforts, you will still be a star in this business. We love you.
We
and
do.
Congratulations on all these
Thank
great
you,
years
guys.
and many more years to come.
I appreciate you having us.
No
Thank
doubt.
you.
Yeah.
We look forward to many years of listening to you in the future.
The great
Thank
Race
you.
Taylor, everybody.
Race Taylor. Playing the hits from 2K and today.
On 95.5 PLJ.